Most men today aren't broke because they lack opportunity. They're broke because they're financially soft. Yeah, I said it. Soft. Not weak physically. Not incapable mentally. But financially, undisciplined, unfocused, unwilling to endure pressure. And that softness is costing them everything. Look around you. Men are working 8, 10, 12 hours a day and still living paycheck to paycheck. Not because money is impossible to earn, but because they never built the mindset required to handle it. They chase comfort instead of control. They want easy money, quick wins, fast success. But money doesn't respect comfort. Money respects discipline. Money respects consistency. Money respects pain. And most men today, they avoid pain at all costs. They'd rather scroll for 3 hours than study for 30 minutes. They'd rather complain about inflation than learn how to increase their income. They'd rather blame the system than fix their habits. That's softness. Financial hardness isn't about how much money you have. It's about how you think, how you act, and how you respond under pressure. A financially hard man doesn't panic when things get tough. He adapts. He doesn't cry about bills. He finds ways to pay them. He doesn't wait for opportunities. He creates them. But most men, they freeze. The moment life gets hard, they shut down. They start making excuses. The economy is bad. Jobs are scarce. It's not the right time. Let me tell you something. It's never the perfect time. There will always be problems, always competition, always uncertainty. The difference is hard men move anyway. Soft men wait. And waiting is the most expensive habit you can have. Because while you're waiting, someone else is building. While you're hesitating, someone else is learning. While you're doubting, someone else is earning. And slowly, without even realizing it, you fall behind. Not because you're incapable, but because you're comfortable. Comfort is the enemy. Comfort is what keeps you stuck in a job you hate. Comfort is what keeps you spending money you don't have. Comfort is what keeps you avoiding risks that could change your life. You think you're safe, but you're actually trapped. A financially soft man loves comfort. A financially strong man trains himself to be uncomfortable. He wakes up early even when he doesn't feel like it. He saves money even when he wants to spend. He invests time into learning when others are relaxing. He does what needs to be done, regardless of how he feels. That's the difference. Because feelings don't build wealth. Discipline does. Let's talk about discipline for a second. Discipline is doing the right thing, even when it's boring, painful, and inconvenient. And money? Money loves discipline. But most men only act when they feel motivated. And motivation is unreliable. One day you're fired up. The next day you're lazy. One day you want to grind. The next day you want to quit. That inconsistency is killing your financial growth. You don't need more motivation. You need structure. You need habits. You need standards. Because financially hard men don't negotiate with themselves. They don't wake up and ask, "Do I feel like working today?" They already decided. They already committed. They already built the system. And they follow it, no matter what. But soft men, they negotiate everything. I'll start tomorrow. I'll save next month. I'll learn later. And that later never comes. Years go by. Nothing changes. Same income. Same problems. Same excuses. That's the cost of financial softness. And here's the harsh truth. Nobody is coming to save you. No government. No boss. No lucky break. If you don't take control of your financial life, you will stay exactly where you are. Or worse, you'll fall further behind. Because life doesn't stay still. Prices go up. Opportunities change. Competition increases. If you're not improving, you're losing. That's the reality. And deep down, you already know it. You feel it when you check your bank account. You feel it when you see others progressing. You feel it when you realize you're capable of more. But you're not doing more. That gap between who you are and who you could be, that's where frustration lives. And that frustration will either break you or build you, but only if you decide to change. Because at the end of the day, financial strength is a choice. A choice to stop making excuses. A choice to take responsibility. A choice to do hard things daily. It's not glamorous. It's not easy. but it works. And once you build that financial toughness, everything changes. Your confidence changes. Your habits change. Your results change. But it starts with one decision: to stop being soft, to stop choosing comfort over growth, to stop running from pressure and start embracing it. Because pressure doesn't break strong men, it builds them. And if you want to win financially, you have to become the kind of man who can handle that pressure. You want to know the real reason most men stay broke? It's not lack of intelligence. It's not lack of opportunity. It's their inability to delay gratification. That's the truth nobody wants to hear. Because delaying gratification is painful. It requires sacrifice. It forces you to say no to things that feel good right now for something better later. And most men, they fail that test every single day. They get money and they spend it immediately. New phone, new clothes, eating out, showing off, all to impress people who don't even care. That's financial softness at its core, living for today while destroying tomorrow. A financially strong man thinks differently. He doesn't ask, "What can I buy?" He asks, "What can I build?" Every dollar becomes a tool. Every hour becomes an investment. Every decision becomes strategic. But soft men, they live emotionally. They spend when they're happy. They spend when they're sad. They spend when they're bored. Money comes in and disappears just as fast. No plan, no control, no vision. And then they wonder why they're stuck. Let me make this clear. If you can't control your spending, you will never control your future. Because money isn't just currency. It's power. It's freedom. It's options. And every time you waste it on temporary pleasure, you're giving up long-term control of your life. Think about that. Every unnecessary expense is a trade. You're trading your future for a moment. You're trading freedom for comfort. You're trading growth for distraction. And you don't even realize it. That's how dangerous financial softness is. It feels good while it's destroying you. Now let's talk about another problem most men have. They avoid responsibility. They don't track their money. They don't understand where it goes. They don't budget. They don't plan. They just hope things will work out. Hope is not a strategy. Hope doesn't pay bills. Hope doesn't build wealth. Discipline does. Awareness does. Execution does. A financially strong man knows his numbers. He knows how much he earns. He knows how much he spends. He knows how much he saves. And most importantly, he knows how to increase it because he treats his life like a business. And if you don't treat your finances like a business, you will always operate at a loss. Soft men ignore the details. They think money management is boring. They avoid learning about investing, saving, building income streams. Why? Because it's uncomfortable. Because it requires effort. Because it forces them to face reality. And reality is scary when you've been avoiding it for years. But ignoring reality doesn't change it. It only makes it worse. You can ignore your finances for months, even years. But eventually reality will catch up. Bills will pile up. Stress will increase. Options will disappear. And suddenly, you're forced to deal with the very thing you avoided. That's how soft men live, reacting instead of preparing. But strong men, they prepare before the storm comes. They build savings before they need it. They learn skills before they're desperate. They create multiple income streams before their main income fails. Because they understand one thing: security is built, not given. And building security requires effort, patience, and discipline. 3 things soft men avoid. Let's go deeper. Most men aren't just financially soft. They're mentally addicted to comfort. They want success, but only if it feels good. They want money, but only if it's easy. They want growth, but only if it's fast. And when reality hits, when things get slow, difficult, frustrating, they quit. That's why they never win. Because the path to financial strength is not exciting. It's repetitive. It's boring. It's uncomfortable. It's waking up early when you don't want to. It's working on your skills after a long day. It's saying no to distractions. It's staying consistent when results are invisible. That's the real grind. And most men aren't willing to do it. They want results without the process. They want success without the sacrifice. They want the reward without earning it. That mindset keeps them stuck. Because in the real world, you don't get what you want. You get what you work for. And work, real work, requires toughness. It requires you to keep going when you're tired. It requires you to stay focused when you're distracted. It requires you to push forward when everything in you wants to stop. That's what separates financially strong men from soft ones. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's endurance. The ability to stay in the game long enough to win. Most men quit too early. They try something for a few weeks, maybe a few months, and when they don't see results, they give up. They switch paths. They start over, again and again, and that inconsistency kills their progress. Because success doesn't come from constant starting. It comes from consistent finishing. The financially strong man picks a path and commits. He learns. He improves. He adapts. But he doesn't quit because he understands that time is his greatest asset. And every time you quit, you reset that time. You go back to zero. That's why soft men stay stuck. They never stay consistent long enough to see results. They keep chasing shortcuts. And shortcuts almost always lead nowhere. Now here's something even deeper. Financial softness is often disguised as normal behavior. Society makes it look okay. Everyone is spending. Everyone is in debt. Everyone is living beyond their means. So it feels normal. But normal is broke. Normal is stressed. Normal is stuck. If you want a different life, you have to be different. You have to think differently, act differently, live differently. And that means doing things most people won't do. Saving when others spend. Working when others relax. Learning when others scroll. Building when others complain. It's not easy, but it's necessary. Because the truth is, financial strength is not built by doing what's easy. It's built by doing what's required. And what's required is discipline, sacrifice, and consistency over time. No shortcuts. No excuses. No comfort. Just work. Real work. And if you're honest with yourself, you know exactly where you've been soft. You know the habits you need to change. You know the actions you've been avoiding. You know the excuses you keep repeating. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Because awareness without action is useless. Knowing the problem doesn't fix it. Taking action does. And action requires courage. The courage to face reality. The courage to change your habits. The courage to become someone you've never been before. That's what financial toughness demands. And most men won't do it. But if you do, if you decide to step up, if you decide to stop being soft, then everything can change. Your income, your mindset, your future. But only if you're willing to pay the price. There's something most men don't realize. Being financially soft doesn't just affect your money. It affects your identity. It changes how you see yourself. It changes how others see you. And over time, it quietly destroys your confidence. Because deep down, every man knows when he's not living up to his potential. You can lie to people. You can pretend everything is fine. You can post like you're winning. But you can't lie to yourself. You know when you're avoiding responsibility. You know when you're wasting time. You know when you're choosing comfort over growth. And that internal truth, it eats at you, slowly, silently, day after day. That's why so many men feel frustrated, angry, lost. Not because life is unfair, but because they're not stepping up. They're living below their standard. And that creates internal conflict. On one side, you have who you are. On the other, who you could be. And the bigger that gap gets, the more painful life becomes. Financial strength closes that gap because it forces you to grow. It forces you to become disciplined, focused, accountable. It forces you to level up, not just financially, but mentally. And that's where real power comes from. But most men avoid that process. Why? Because growth requires discomfort, and discomfort exposes weakness. It shows you where you're undisciplined. It shows you where you lack control. It shows you the truth, and the truth is hard to face. So instead of confronting it, they escape. They distract themselves. Endless scrolling, entertainment, pointless conversations, temporary pleasures. Anything to avoid sitting alone with their reality. But distraction doesn't solve anything. It just delays the pain. And while you're distracted, time keeps moving. Opportunities pass. Energy declines. responsibilities increase. And one day, you wake up and realize you're behind. Not a little behind, but years behind. That's the cost of avoidance. That's the cost of financial softness. Now here's where it gets serious. As a man, your financial position affects more than just you. It affects your family, your future, your children, your ability to protect and provide. And whether people want to admit it or not, that matters a lot. Because when you're financially weak, you're limited. Limited choices, limited freedom, limited control over your own life. You can't move how you want. You can't live how you want. You can't help the people you care about the way you want. That's a heavy reality. And most men feel it. But they suppress it. They tell themselves, money isn't everything. And that's true. But lack of money affects everything. It affects your stress levels, your relationships, your mental health, your confidence. So don't lie to yourself. Financial strength matters. And ignoring it doesn't make you noble. It makes you vulnerable. Now, let's talk about responsibility at the highest level. A financially strong man doesn't just think about today. He thinks long-term, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. He understands that the actions he takes now will shape his future. So he moves with intention. He builds systems. He invests in himself. He creates stability. But soft men, they live day to day. No vision, no plan, no direction. Just reacting to whatever happens. And when you live like that, life controls you, instead of you controlling life. That's the difference. Control. Financial strength gives you control. Control over your time. Control over your decisions. Control over your environment. And without control, you're always at the mercy of something or someone else. Your boss, your bills, your circumstances. That's not freedom. That's survival. And too many men are stuck in survival mode, thinking it's normal. It's not normal. It's common, but it's not normal. You weren't built just to survive. You were built to grow, to lead, to build something meaningful. But that requires stepping out of survival mode and into ownership. Ownership of your actions, ownership of your habits, ownership of your results. No blaming, no excuses, no victim mindset, just responsibility, full responsibility. Because the moment you take full responsibility, everything changes. You stop waiting. You stop complaining. You stop making excuses. And you start acting. That's when progress begins. Now understand this. Financial toughness is not built overnight. It's built daily, in small decisions. The decision to save instead of spend. The decision to work instead of waste time. The decision to learn instead of scroll. The decision to stay consistent instead of quitting. These small decisions, repeated daily, create massive results over time. But most men ignore the small things. They think success comes from big moves, big opportunities, big moments. But that's not how it works. Success is built in the boring moments, the quiet days, the unseen effort, the discipline when nobody is watching. That's where financial strength is forged. And that's why most men never achieve it. Because they're not willing to do the boring work. They want excitement. They want fast results. They want recognition. But real growth? It's quiet. It's slow. It's invisible until it's undeniable. And by the time it becomes undeniable, it's already too late for those who didn't start. Now ask yourself this. Are you building? Or are you wasting? Are you growing? Or are you staying the same? Are you moving forward? Or are you stuck? Be honest, because your answers will determine your future, not your intentions, not your plans, your actions, daily actions, consistent actions, relentless actions. That's what separates winners from everyone else. And if you're serious about changing your financial life, you have to make a decision. Right now, not tomorrow, not next week. Right now, a decision to raise your standards. A decision to stop tolerating mediocrity. A decision to become disciplined, focused, and relentless. Because the truth is, no one is going to push you. No one is going to force you. No one is coming to save you. It's on you. And that might sound harsh, but it's also empowering. Because if it's on you, then you have control. You have the power to change your situation. You have the ability to build something better. But only if you act, only if you commit, only if you stop being soft and start becoming dangerous with your discipline. Because once you reach that level, once you become mentally and financially tough, you don't just survive, you dominate. At some point, you have to get tired of being stuck, tired of making the same excuses, tired of knowing you're capable of more, but still living below your potential. Because nothing changes until you reach that point, that moment where you look at your life and say, enough, not next month, not next year, now. Because the truth is, your life right now is a reflection of your standards, not your dreams, not your intentions. Your standards, what you tolerate, you become. If you tolerate laziness, you become lazy. If you tolerate bad spending habits, you stay broke. If you tolerate discipline gaps, you stay weak. It's that simple. And most men, their standards are too low. They accept average. They accept struggle. They accept just getting by. And then they wonder why nothing improves. But a financially strong man, he raises his standards so high that mediocrity becomes unacceptable. He doesn't negotiate with weakness. He eliminates it completely because he understands something most men ignore. Every small weakness compounds over time. That extra hour of wasted time, it adds up. That unnecessary expense, it adds up. That missed opportunity, it adds up. And before you know it, those small losses turn into a life you didn't want. That's how men wake up at 30, 40, even 50 and feel regret, not because they didn't have chances, but because they wasted them. And regret is one of the heaviest things a man can carry, because you can't change the past. You can only live with it, unless you decide to change your future. Right now, let me ask you something real. How long are you going to keep playing small? How long are you going to keep telling yourself, I'll start later? How long are you going to keep choosing comfort over growth? Because time doesn't care. Time keeps moving whether you act or not. Every day you delay, you fall further behind. Not just financially, but mentally, because every time you break your own promises, you lose trust in yourself. And self-trust is everything. Without it, you hesitate. You doubt yourself. You second-guess every decision. But when you build discipline, when you start keeping your word to yourself, that confidence comes back. And it comes back strong. Because now you know you're someone who executes. Someone who follows through. Someone who doesn't quit when things get hard. That's power. Real power. And it's built through action, not talk. Now understand this clearly. Nobody is coming to save you. Not your boss. Not your friends. Not luck. If you don't take control of your financial life, it will control you. Simple as that. So what does taking control actually look like? It looks like waking up with purpose. It looks like having a plan. It looks like tracking your money, controlling your spending, building your income, improving your skills every single day. No breaks, no excuses, no shortcuts, just consistent effort. And yeah, it's hard. It's supposed to be, because anything valuable requires effort. And financial freedom, that's one of the most valuable things you can achieve, because it gives you options. It gives you freedom. It gives you control over your life. And that's worth fighting for. But here's the part most men don't want to hear. You're going to have to sacrifice. You're going to have to give up things you enjoy. Late nights, endless scrolling, impulse spending, comfort. You're going to have to trade those things for discipline, for focus, for growth. And most men won't do that. They'll say they want success, but they won't give up what's holding them back. And that's why they stay stuck. Because you can't have both. You can't have comfort and growth at the same time. You have to choose. And your choice will define your future. Now imagine this. Imagine waking up knowing your finances are under control. No stress, no anxiety, no fear of bills. Imagine having money saved, investments growing, income increasing. Imagine being able to help your family without hesitation, to live life on your terms. That's what financial strength gives you. But it doesn't come easy. It comes from discipline, from sacrifice, from consistency over time, from doing the things most people avoid. And that's why it's rare, because most men are not willing to go that far. But you have a choice. You can stay where you are, keep doing the same things, keep getting the same results. Or you could decide that enough is enough. You could decide to raise your standards, to take control, to become disciplined, to become focused, to become relentless. Because at the end of the day, this is bigger than money. This is about the kind of man you become. Do you become the man who makes excuses, or the man who takes responsibility? Do you become the man who avoids pressure, or the man who thrives in it? Do you become the man who stays comfortable, or the man who grows? Because life will test you either way. You can choose the pain of discipline or the pain of regret, but you will feel pain. That's guaranteed. So choose wisely, because one leads to growth, the other leads to suffering. And deep down, you already know which one you've been choosing. But here's the good news. It's not too late. As long as you're breathing, you have time. Time to change. Time to improve. Time to rebuild. But that time is limited. So don't waste it. Don't sit around waiting for the perfect moment. There is no perfect moment. There's only now. And what you do right now matters more than you think. Because this could be the moment everything changes. The moment you stop being soft. The moment you take control. The moment you decide to become financially strong. Not for anyone else, but for yourself. For your future. For the life you know you're capable of. So stand up. Lock in. Get to work. No more excuses. No more delays. No more softness. Because the world doesn't reward potential. It rewards execution. And from this point forward, you execute. No matter what.